to go down here, we'll subtract 1. Okay, so 2 minus 1 is 1. So to go from TC to the lower bass, you just would add 1. Now look at why is that? Because to go from TC to upper bass, you're getting into a G7 anyway. So we're pretty much getting into a G7. See how the offsets are the same? Let's look at this. What these little bows are, these little includers, I've added and included this C for a reason. And that reason is to make this a 3-string shape shorts. And we'll see how that works. And I had to so add an upper note here for the G 6-7 root. Okay, the 6, the 7, and the root there. You can see that the 6, the 7, and the root is the G. We start on the B here, so it's a Locrian, but we're ending on a C, so it's a Locrian and an Ionian right here. We have the treble clef, but we want to fit it to string shapes. So we have C, G, and D. So I've added this F here because we need that F for the D string shape. So we're fitting it to the string shapes. We'll get to the guitar fretboard with this. Lower treble becomes a Dorian now because I've added lower treble is usually E minor 7th. Remember we talked about how lower treble is E minor 7th? Those are in between notes. These are the same notes that would be F, A, C, E, but they're -1 in lower treble. Okay, we're going to add the D, and we're going to have a Dorian right here. D to D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root 2 right here. 7 root and 2. Okay, so that gives us our Dorian right there. We're segmentizing the treble clef, the upper treble, and the lower treble on the right hand piano, and then the bass clef, the upper bass, the lower bass, and the bass clef on the left hand on the piano. So it's the segmenting them that it's a divide and conquer approach. So instead of what seems to be going on in the world, which isn't divide and conquer, it's group them and try to conquer them, but conquer them with calling them all the bad guys, right? We're the good guys, they're the bad guys. No, we want to divide and conquer. I think that's what they're doing. Anyway, that's what we want to do to the to the entire, playable. The entire playable here. Middle C, right there, off by 1. Let's look at this. We've divided up. We have a nice modal lower bass here, which is a modal scale. All right. Then we have the bass clef, which is a nice Aeolian modal scale. Okay, we have the bass clef is a nice modal Aeolian scale with G, D, and A. Now G, remember, is 6-7 root. So we have from 6 to 6 here, we have G 6-7 root, we got D 2, 3, 4, and then we got a short 5, 6. So we got 2 nice modal scales. Now we run into trouble with the upper bass clef, but with the upper bass clef, we can add a note easily without getting in trouble. So we're just going to add the R there. Alright, so that's the upper bass clef there. Back down on the keyboard here, upper bass clef, Locrian, and Ionian. We have now, it's more than just a C major 7th. We have, but really, from middle C, this is what it is. So see, usually on guitar, if we're just playing music and just jamming, it doesn't matter a whole lot if you do this. or you do this, or you do that, or you do. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the, get to the guitar so we don't have something we have to, some reason we didn't get to this. So here, remember the lower bass clef is in red because it's mixolydian, and here it is A, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. This is all that we'd see in the guitar fretboard here in the key of C. The bass clef itself is a nice Aeolian. So it's GDA, 6, 7, root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a short A there, short A string shape, 5, 6. And this is what it looks like, the blue section, as we go along. Right here we have my down C tuned. Here is your down E, your E tuned. Okay, here's your E tuned, regular tuned guitar. So where do we get, what we're interested in is when we're covering the entire fretboard there, and then we could start to put names on modal scales on these. Now I can't play this. I can only play half of that on my guitar. We can play the Phrygian. So what does that turn out to be? Well, let's first add in the right here the upper bass clef, E, C, G, 7 root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root. So we're more than just really just the half diminished Locrian mode there, okay? And an upper bass clef would be going, and we're going to add the 6, 7 root G string shape there. So here's your middle C's there. The yellow ones are the middle C. So you can see in upper we had to add this C here. We've got the bass fretboard that's full in this zone, and then we have the treble fretboard that's filled with this zone. Where there's a designator, a modal scale designator, that's where it's filled in completely. So let's look at the, and then this is control up here, so I can still see the numbers of the notes. And okay, this is the key of C numbers filled in here. So this is like bass guitar section. Okay, we wouldn't say bass fiddle unless you took a bass fiddle and tuned it to guitar tuning. Okay, so starting from this low G here, this is why we have the controls fretboard here. 5, 6, 7, way low root, okay, and then 2, and then here's your lowest note on the guitar, right down here. So this is the first playable, and we have our Phrygian. This is where your fret nut is. I could put Mr. Capo there just to make the point. So this is where your guitar tuning is, and it'd be a Phrygian scale. Just like that. We put these together with the different segments. So we have a little bit of this mixolydian, we have a little bit of this Aeolian, and on top we have the Locrian Ionian. Put them all together so it fills in, and we have a Phrygian cage right there. Okay, that's, I call it the Phrygian cage because you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3. Same thing happens over here. We've got the same 3 segments, but we no longer have the lower bass treble notes here. And we get our Aeolian, which starts at 6 here. Okay, then we got this little guy over here, Lone Wolf 7. That's our Aeolian there. This pretty much is, it is the upper bass clef there. We've even added an extra note, I believe, more than what was is commonly used, because it's in between the clefs. You don't want the two clefs crashing one another. But on the top and the bottom, it can go up even higher. It goes up like twice as much. So that's why this falls off here. It's not like, oh, wait, we can't play this. Yes, we can, but it's going to be written on the treble clef. So let's look at, we've got down here, we can cover this in the bass clef. On the treble clef, guess what? We're only going to see partial cage coverage here. So the first one we're going to hit over here is Dorian. Okay. This forms the Dorian, but it's forming it out of this Dorian and this Phrygian Lydian right here. And we got way up treble up here, and we form these, and it's just way up on my guitar. This is like right here would be this D A E, would be D A and then E. Alright, like that, D A E. Now the green one was C G D, so then we go C G D. The same thing. That's way up on my guitar. This stuff is just old dusty stuff that we have to cover. Alright, so let's look at it. We go up even further with guys with electric guitars, you know, that go up even further here. And I should have this Mixolydian cage. So that's how that works. I know it's hard to see what the notes are, but here's where the notes are. So here's where the action is on the treble clef. Okay, remember that your fret nut is where? Well, we better find it. Oh, it's way down here. So this is where your stuff starts. Okay, so really, even electric guitars aren't going to get way up here. This is getting up into the imaginary. These are the really high notes, really high. Way up there. If you can get a guitar to go up there, you know, you can really play really small notes up there. Everything in this is contained in this diagram. Everything in this is contained in this diagram almost. And everything in this is contained in this diagram. They all agree. That's it for today. Clef segments can be fit to the string-shaped structure. And that's the gist of this chart. It's been a good day. It's been so far. And if I teach you a lesson, it's a good day. I thank you all for watching this. If you like these videos, like and subscribe to Andy Shriek Guitar Chart videos on YouTube. Tell your friends about Andy Shriek Guitar Chart